There's levels to this thing. I can't even front, yeah, there's levels to this thing. Within my mind, so I know I'm about to take the win. Beat on solid rock, so you know I ain't gon' sing. Hey, there's levels to this thing. I'ma work till I get to see my king. Feeling like King James, like about to win a ring. Man.
We got the same matches, we at different levels. I'ma have to find a way to push the pedal. But my Christian race to get the gold medal.
Welcome to the First Love TV show. My name is Andrea, and I'm here with Jeremy.
Hey guys.
Francisca.
Hi.
And Bianca.
Hi, everybody.
For the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at the parable of the prodigal son, and we've been exploring the theme of prodigality. And this week, we're going to be looking at the opposite of prodigality, which is frugality. Bianca, what is the definition of frugality?
Frugality is the careful and wise use of money, resources, and opportunities.
You're a reader. But you mentioned resources, and I think sometimes when people just hear the word frugality or being frugal, they think of the term just money, or it has to do with just money. But from what you're saying, resources are important. And sometimes when you read the Bible, people just think it's so spooky or there's nothing they can relate to, but there are a lot of examples in the Bible that gives us example of even using resources, which is if you take the parable of the talent, each one of them, the master gave them a talent, either it being 1, 5, or 10, but they were still able to use the small thing that they were given to multiply, except for the, you know, the one person that wanted to be some way. But yeah, you were still given, they were all still given something, and they were able to multiply with what they're given. So being frugal sometimes is like you use the small things and you're still able to bear fruits with what's given.
Yeah, wow. Like how you said, using the small things, because that reminds me of the mustard seed. How Jesus says that the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. And a lot of people feel like to be frugal or to use something carefully or treat it with a special amount of care, it needs to be a big amount. It needs to be something that is like significantly big, or like people feel like when they're saving money, they need to have a big amount of money before they can carefully save it. But you realize that even though something's in a small amount, it can still be treated frugally. And like one example for me is like I started this campus church, and it might be in the mustard seed stage right now. Like
it's gonna grow.
I mean, because you can easily just despise it and be like, man, what is this? I don't really care. Like, I'm not gonna use my time wisely with it. I'm just gonna treat it anyhow. But that's because you don't see the value in it. And the thing is that even though it's a small amount, you can still treat it with a special amount of care. And the Bible says something that encourages me is that though that beginning may be small, that latter end shall increase greatly. So that thing that you might see that is small can still increase to be a great amount. So you still have to treat it with the same amount of frugality and the same amount of care.
Yeah, I mean, I like when you said you start small, because when I was 17, I got my first job. My mom was like, why are you spending all your money on clothes and everything? I love shopping. I was shopping, but I used to love shopping. And so she was like, no, don't spend it all on, you know, shoes, because I have a lot of shoes now.
Wow. Andrea too.
I don't, honestly.
I used to buy like a lot of shoes with my money, but she was like, if you save $10 here or $20 there, it's gonna add up, and then by the end of the year you have $200 or $100 or something, and that adds up. So do not spend everything because you're like, oh, my parents is gonna take care of you or something, but help, you know, save little by little, and it adds up. So
wow. And from Jeremy, what you said earlier, and also Bianca, the example that you gave, when I think about somebody like my sister, I remember one time she called me, and we were just having a brief conversation, and she told me that she owed $40,000, and I said, and I said, $40,000. Like, how did you rack up all of that debt? And she said that it was a multitude of things. One, the Navy had overpaid them, and then they found it out late, so they had to pay that money back. And then she was also preparing for a wedding that was like $20,000 or $40,000 in total. And then she was like shopping and doing all of these things. So she racked up $40,000 in debt. But then one of the things that I found so amazing or so surprising was that she was able to clear that debt in 1.5 years. Wow. So I began to ask her, you know, how are you able to clear off the debt? How did that go? And she said that little by little, every money that all the monies that she would get, she would apply that to the debt, whether it was small, whether it was just $10 here, $50 here, $100 here. She would apply to it small by small, and then she also learned to cut things out of her life, like going shopping, eating out, having all the fun that you would. Yeah. So I think that that is a great lesson to learn, that a lot of us, we think that, oh, in order to cancel or clear all of my debt, I need like $100,000 and everything will be fine. But it's in the small things that you're able to like clear your debt. So I think that's an important lesson to learn.
I like how you said that she realized that she had to cut certain things out of her life, and I realized that to be frugal, it comes with certain sacrifices. Yeah. And one thing my pastor always says is to cut your coat according to your size. Like some people, the reason why they're wasteful, even the prodigal son, the reason why he was wasteful was he wasn't able to cut his coat according to his size. He wanted everything now. Yeah. He wasn't able to wait, so he spent all the money that he had now. And you see that a lot of people, they're not able to do that. So they spend money wastefully. They buy things that they want now. They can't wait. They're not able to cut that spending out. They're not able to wait before they get that dress or wait.
But that's our generation. We just want things now here. Like, if I want this shoe, I want to go get that because this person is wearing it. So cute. I'm into shoes, sorry. But it's like when you get something, you get little money, you want to go spend it, but it's better to actually save it and cut your coat according to your size.
That's why people are in debt in the first place, because it's like the way that America's built, it's built off of loans, right? And the deception is, it's like, okay, here, you can take this money now and get what you want now. One time I was driving and there was like this huge billboard poster, right? And it's like, get $100,000. And like, I'm like,
how are you gonna get that?
I'm like, this pretty much characterizes our country in the best, the best way. It's like, get $100,000 now. Like, there's a guy like smiling with his I'm like, bro, you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Right? Yeah. And some people fall for it. Yeah.
It's so easy to, and it's like you have to. But if you're frugal, you will never do that.
No, what you guys are saying is very true, because sometimes, like in college, you see the amount of money people are getting from their refunds, and you could just be like, 10,000, 11,000. That's a new car right there. And I remember like right now, honestly, my car is not in the best situation. And I see some of my colleagues, they're driving like fancy BMWs, and I'm just like, bro, when is my BMW gonna come? But I'm still like,
it's coming.
Amen, I receive it. I'm still like faithful with what I have. Like, it takes me to school and back, but I mean, I'm at least able to go somewhere. I'm able to be frugal with the little that God has given me, and I really appreciate that, because I understand there are people now that walk to school, ride bikes. So I'm really happy that at least I have something that takes me. So I get why it's important.
One thing for me too is like, even for like going back to my campus thing, like one thing that I heard a man of God said, he said that before you could be the pastor of 100 people, you have to learn how to be the pastor of 10. Right? And like,
even one sometimes.
Even one, like,
it's hard.
And it's like, you can easily not value the small amount of people that you have. Like, oh, it's small, whatever. I'm not gonna take care of it. But like, if you don't know how to handle that small amount, you can't handle a lot of people. And if you look at David, he's a perfect example of that, because he was a shepherd boy and he was handling sheep. And he was very frugal with that. He took care. He put a high value on the small thing that he had, and taking care of those sheep prepared him to take care of a whole entire kingdom. So like, that's what led to his success, being frugal with that small amount. And you realize that even as you're able to balance your life and value the things that you have, it helps you be able to handle more things, handle more blessings, and things like that. So,
I mean, even you're saying David, but think about Joseph. He started as not a slave, but like a prisoner. And then he worked his way up and then became, the prime minister of a whole country. But if he didn't appreciate what he had or what he, got from that, then he wouldn't have been where he was. So it's also good to start small, start from, it's opportunities. It's not just money that we're talking about. It has to do with opportunities too.
Yeah, and Jeremy, as you were talking earlier, I think that it's also important that you're wise with what's in your hands or what comes into your hands. And I think that some of us, we look at our jobs and we say, oh, I'm only making like $8.25 or I'm only making $10 an hour. But the person next to me is making like $40 an hour. You begin to compare yourself and you think to yourself like, oh, this small that I'm making is not going to make a big difference. But even if you look in the Bible at Jesus Christ and you look at the story where he had to feed the 5,000, in his hands he had 5 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish. And in his hands he was still able to use what was in his hands to accomplish much. So I think it depends on what you do with what is given to you and treating that and respecting that in order to be able to do great things with it.
What you're saying is very important because it's important to start with something small, or like even in some situations we see the situation, like we see the problems we're going through, and we see like it feels like there's no way you can solve it, or like you see, okay, you might have like $2, but your problem is like $100. Like, how are you gonna solve it? But you have to understand that the small thing that you have, okay, the $2, now you're at $98. So the small things that you have like set you up to like to be able to like, how do I say it? But like to be able to keep going and to be able to like manage if you're given something bigger. So.
Yeah, I think one thing that you said about the 5 loaves and 2 fish is like, you realize that when Andrew had the same thing, they say, he's like, how is this gonna fit? He's like, this is nothing. Like, this is nothing compared to like what we have. But in Jesus' hands, it was worth so much more. And it just depends on how you value what you have. Because to some people, like, $5 is like, bro, whatever, man, I'm throwing this away. But to some people, $5 is like, yes, this is something I can build towards to. And then, for example, like my dad gave me some money, and he blessed me with a certain amount of money, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot, but
I'm gonna be hanging out with you more.
Watching, bless me too, okay?
But I was blessed, and then I figured out a way to save up and buy like a flat screen TV in my room.
Wow!
Yeah, and I was surprised that it could go that far, because I could have easily just bought something else with it. Like if I bought like a pair of jeans and like a shirt, then I'll be it. But I'm like, no, let me see if I can find something. And I'm like, wait, I can actually save up. I added a few extra dollars for like the tax. I'm like, okay, calculated, put some makeshift stand, and I'm like, okay, yeah. So I got myself a TV, and that just shows you that to someone else that might be like, oh man, I'm just gonna go out to eat and with my friends and just spend it. But in my frugality, I was able to use that and be able to use that small amount and buy something of value. So yeah.
So
if you just tuned in to the First Love TV show, you are welcome. We've been talking about frugality, which is the opposite of prodigality. Somebody who's prodigal is wasteful, takes opportunities for granted, but a frugal person uses their resources wisely, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's the opportunities that they've been given. And we've said that it's important that we do not despise small beginnings. It's important that you carefully handle the things that are given in your hands, because what is in your hands can actually accomplish much if you use it wisely. And with that said, we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back and continue with this discussion.
Hi guys, my name is Francisca.
And welcome back to the First Love.
What up, y'all?
Welcome back to the First Love TV show. If you just joined us, we've been talking about the principle of frugality. And we said that a frugal person is somebody who uses their resources, opportunities, and even their time wisely. And in this segment, we're going to continue this discussion. Francisca, I believe before the break you were going to ask the question, and then I cut you off.
But now I was just going to ask, like, what is actually the difference between being stingy and being frugal? Because I feel like sometimes people think, you know, it's the same thing. Is there really a difference?
I think that there's a big difference, because I feel as though somebody who is frugal is wise about their money and the resources they use. Somebody who is stingy, it's like they want to keep everything to themselves. Even if they have the ability to help somebody who's maybe even be homeless or in need, they'll say, no, I think you're good on your own. So it's like they want to keep the money to themselves and they want to hoard it and keep it. So I think that's the main difference between being...
because giving is still a very important part. Like, giving is to be given back to you. And then also, God is a very generous God. Jesus gave his life. I mean, he's a good shepherd, and we're all trying to follow his example. But just because you're frugal and you know how to manage your stuff doesn't mean that,
Yeah.
all right, nah, I ain't giving it to you. But like someone needs something, like, okay, now I'm trying to be frugal. Let me just make sure I'm valuing my resources. Well, like, no,
Yeah.
you still have to learn how to give. And even giving is a blessing.
Yeah.
And as
It's
you
better to
give,
give
yeah, it's
than
better
to
to give
receive.
than to receive. And people that even hoarding their money and being frugal is two completely different things. So yeah, I agree with what Andrew said.
So how do you become frugal? Like, what is the first step in order to be somebody who's frugal?
I feel like the first step is for you to value. For you to be able to value something is that you appreciate it and you reference it in a sense. So value goes with being frugal. And for example, if you take an example of a kid, can you imagine like giving a 5-year-old $100 or $1,000?
Oh, no.
They're not going to value because they don't really understand it. So I feel like it also comes with being wise or using wisdom. So I feel like
I agree with what Cisco said because I just thought of this verse and it's like casting your pearls before swine.
Yeah.
It's like something so precious. You're just casting it. You're just throwing it away. Like you don't understand the value of what it is, and no one wants to do that. Everyone wants to. It's like you don't know you have a diamond in your hand, and then it's like, oh, you think it's a stone, so you just like put it under your bed or something. But meanwhile, it's like the most precious.
Or throw it like it's a rock or
throw it away.
something.
But I understand. I think that's like the most important thing because knowing what's valuable to you and what's valuable in your life will help you treat it with frugality.
And I think it's important when we talk about valuing things that we don't only see it in terms of money, because you can think that, okay, value, frugal, has to do with money, but it has to do with valuing resources, valuing your education, valuing people, because all of these people play a different roles in your life.
I like what you said about valuing people because I think that there's a verse that came to mind, 1 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 8. I'm just going to read it very quickly, if you guys don't mind. Let me turn
No
to it.
problem.
It says, her husband Elkanah would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? So that means like, pretty much that scripture is explaining that Hannah meant more to her than 10 sons. That means that one person was more valuable to her than a whole family. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the value of one person that can have in your life. And you have to treat that person with care, with reverence, with a certain amount of appreciation, because when someone comes into your life, it can change your whole life.
Yeah.
And when God sends a gift into your life, and when God wants to bless you, He usually sends a person. He won't send money, or maybe He will. He'll give you that miracle money. I mean, maybe He will, but I'm talking about like if He really wants to bless you, He'll send you a man, He'll send you a woman, someone that will come into your life and bless you in ways you can't imagine. And one person can be worth more than 10 people. That's amazing. So,
I mean, He sent His Son because He loves us so much. He sent His Son to come, die for us. So He loves us. So He sends people in our life.
Yeah, and you guys are, Jeremy, you mentioned friends, and then it reminded me of friendships. It's important to also value friends or the people that God has brought into your life. Like, I value you guys. Like, I love you guys. I really like you guys. And then, like, it reminds me of someone that's actually in my life. Her name is Anita. I love her so much. Because of her, we started off being, like, she was the person on my floor that took care of me. And then she ended up being like a spiritual mother to me, or a sister. Then she even ended up giving me the job that I have right now. So because of our relationship, I've been blessed by it. I've been able to have this opportunity that I've grown spiritually as a Christian, and I got a job because of it. I'm really happy. So it's important to value friendships and the relationships given to it.
Yeah, I have someone like that too. I have a cousin that's like me, that means a lot to me too, and like he's inspired me to like do a lot of different things, like be in ministry, like seeing where he is at, and like it just makes me want to be more like him. And I feel like he's been valuable, like very valuable to me in a lot of ways. Ways that just by following his example, because my pastor always says that you can be great by just following somebody, and like that's personally someone that I'm following, like just trying to be like exactly like him. And like I feel like I've been blessed just by following and just by interacting. Sometimes just speaking to someone, because the Bible says the Spirit entered into me when He spake to me. So words are very powerful. When someone keeps depositing words into your life, it can change you, and that's how I feel like about my cousin. So yeah.
And as you guys have been speaking about people, even when I take somebody who, my spiritual mother, who like led me into Christ. I remember when I was living in Maryland, and I wasn't going to church, and she had to. There was this lady.
Andrea, you not going to church? Wow.
Before I became born again.
Before the blood.
Before the flood. I wasn't going to church, and somebody introduced me to a church. And then I started going to the church, and this lady, she would always make sure she comes to pick me up. She would always check up on me. And I valued that, and I never threw it away, to the extent that when I was moving to Houston, where I am now, she made sure to call every pastor there was to make sure that I was in a good church. And at first I was like, this lady, she's like bothering me and stuff. But I think that because I value that relationship and I didn't throw that relationship away, that was able to help me in my spirituality and also where I am today. So I think it's very important that you value people and who God brings into your life, because a lot of people, you can get to a place where you just break ties and you're like, oh, I don't need this person. Yeah. I don't need that person anymore. But that's the only, by valuing people, you can also grow. So I think that's important.
Another thing that you can value is education. I know, like a lot of us, man, it's college struggle.
You gotta keep going.
Yeah, it's like, man, I hate the school stuff. I hate the class. Like, I hate waking up every day, like doing it. But like one thing that one of my spiritual fathers always says, he's like, I always thank God that I've been to school. I always thank God that I always thank God that I've been to school. And I don't think I fully understand it yet. Maybe when I get older, when I get to that point, I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll say that one day. But it shows you that people ahead of us value like the school that they went to, value that they've had that education. And I feel like just the opportunity to have knowledge and learn. And one thing as young people is like, we might not know everything, like we don't, but through learning, through education, through studying, you can actually jump ahead. You can advance your years. You can take a mental jump, and you realize that there's always a difference between people who are educated and people who are not. And that's why the ignorant people always rebel. I mean, like, okay, if you look at like the French Revolution, it's always the people that don't know anything. They're like, I'm tired of these people oppressing me. Oppressing my life. Let's go rebel. And then like they don't know what they're doing. But usually the people that are the high-class, educated people, they have a different mind. They think differently. So I think value education is very important.
That's true. We can also value our moms and parents because, I mean, we're talking about other people. So parents, and when people usually don't value mothers because they're like, oh, whatever, they're all stay-at-home moms. They don't really value them because they're just staying home, just watching. But when the kid is sick, who takes care of it, the baby the most? Is the mom, because they want to think. No, usually it's the mom taking care of, making sure that the kid is eating, taking the meds, feeling better. They feel the pain, and the guys are like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know why the baby is crying. So you know,
you're talking. I don't know.
That's true.
No, what you're saying is true, because I remember I heard a story about a man, I'm not going to say the person's name, but his wife went out of town for like something, and then the kids were at home, and he wanted to cook for the kids. So when he did and the kids had it, the kids were like, no.
I think I know this person.
It happens a lot. Like the father tries to cook and then it's not, and then they have to come to realization like, wow, this woman in my life, like there's a lot, because you know there's it also says behind a successful man there's always a woman there. So it's important what you're saying, to value women. We're not saying don't value men, but women play a huge role in our lives.
I appreciate my mom a lot, because I mean sometimes they're always behind the scenes. Usually a great person, a great mother is always behind the scenes, like. But you can easily take them for granted, but they do so much, like, and I feel like you always need to value that person, because some people don't have the opportunity to even like share fellowship with that person or anything. So like, I feel like me personally, having my mom around is great, and I love you, Mom. So yeah.
Oh, Jeremy.
I mean, my dad did the same thing, because one time my mom had a funeral somewhere in, I don't know, someplace. So she left us, and my dad didn't know what to cook for us, even breakfast, nothing, okay? Wow. So he gave us bread, he gave us water, he put sugar in the water. I was like, here, and then added honey to it. It's like,
Wow,
honey's
what a
gonna give
mixture.
it's like a nightmare, okay? I still remember that day. It's like, we went to school so hungry.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mommy, you need to come back. When she came back, we were so happy. We were like, don't ever leave us.
Yeah.
We don't know how valuable somebody is until they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not around.
That's a very important
Oh,
point.
and then, I just remember, I think it's also important to value people before they're dead, actually.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that's an
yes.
important thing, too, because I remember, like, I don't think I really appreciated my mom until, like, I found out she passed away and things like that. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of things I could have learned from her, or there's a lot of things that she did for me that I could have valued. And so it's always important to value people before they die or they pass away,
Yeah, and people say that, there's this saying that it's like, you shouldn't get somebody roses before they can smell it. I mean, I mean, you shouldn't get it to them until they can't smell it anymore. That's what I mean. Like,
okay.
yeah, because like, I mean, there's no point of giving them people. You know how people go to funerals with roses and stuff, and
they can't,
they can't smell it. Like, it's
true,
useless.
yeah.
So you should you should show appreciation to them when they're alive. That's
So you better get your wife some roses.
like my future wife. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Your future wife.
So,
Yeah. If you just tuned into the First Love TV show, we've been talking about frugality, and we said that it's important to value the things that you have. A frugal person values the things that they have, whether it's relationships, education, or even their time. And we said that in order to value things, you must consciously make a decision to respect and reverence the opportunities that God has given you, the people that he's brought into your life. And in doing so, you won't be prodigal, but you'll be frugal. And with that said, we're closing our show, sadly, but we'll be back again next week to talk about this discussion. And we hope to see you all again next week. Thank you for watching. We love you, and we want to say bye to everyone. Bye. Thank you for watching the First Love TV show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week Wednesday at 7 p.m. CST. If you're a French speaker, we invite you to attend our first service, which begins at 9 a.m. Our second service starts promptly at 11 a.m., which is in English.
If we have found grace.
We are located at 7601 West Sam Houston Parkway South, Houston, Texas, 77036. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive alerts for our services and TV shows. Have a blessed and fruitful week.